I'm Hugh Duffy, and today I want to talk to you about compassion. Compassion comes from the Latin compassio, and it means to suffer with. So a person of compassion is somebody who can identify with the suffering and needs of their fellow man. I want to tell you a little story. It's about a little boy who came home from school one day rather late. The mother was upset, and so when he arrived home, she asked him, "What happened? Why were you so late?" And he explained that along the way he ran into a little girl who was in trouble because the wheel came off her bike, and he tried to help her. And the mother said to him, "How could you help her with the wheel of her bike when you couldn't even fix the wheel on your own bike?" And the little boy replied, "Well," he said, "I didn't fix her wheel, but since I had the problem before, I was able to help her to cry." In other words, he showed her compassion. And compassion is a very deep emotion. In fact, neuropsychologists maintain that human nature is naturally wired towards compassion. Now, we know that people don't always practice it, unfortunately. Some people are afraid to be compassionate. They think they might become soft or weak or taken advantage of. Others don't want to become compassionate because they embrace a philosophy of winners and losers in this rather materialistic and selfish world. But what is winning when you don't have compassion? What is winning when you lose your integrity as a human being? And so, in the Gospels, we see that Jesus was a man of compassion. The Old Testament says that God the Father is the Father of compassion. And Jesus, being the Son of God, embodies compassion for us. Everywhere he went, he spread compassion. He reached out to the sick, the blind, the lame, the widows, the orphans, the children. When people went hungry, he fed them. Even when on a personal level, when his top disciple denied him 3 times, he didn't berate him. He showered him with compassion and restored him to his former position. When St. Thomas doubted him, very much so, lost his faith after the crucifixion, the Lord appeared to him. He didn't say much, he just showed him his wounds and restored Thomas to his position of faith that he held before. So compassion is so important in the scriptures that Jesus makes it the key, really, the test whereby we will enter into his kingdom. Now this is very, very important. And he tells us a parable, a story, that is called the parable of the Last Judgment. And here he says that in the last days that we will be divided into 2 groups, like sheep, the symbol of the faithful, and goats, the symbol of the unfaithful. And this is what he will say to the faithful: "Welcome to the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was in prison, and you visited me. I was sick, and you comforted me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was homeless, and you gave me shelter." And then the parable goes on to say that the people who didn't do that will say, "Lord, when did we see you hungry, thirsty, sick, in prison, naked, or homeless?" And the Lord's answer was magnificent. He says, "Whatsoever you do to the least of my people, that you do unto me." That is compassion. If you want to be happy as a human being and as a Christian, be compassionate. If you want to make other people happy, show them compassion. God love you.